Well, hello, Ashley. How's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Good. So I'll just let everyone know who may be watching this that you came across our ebook on how to build a ShareFaith Kids online lesson, and you sent me a fantastic email, and I was like, I gotta know more. So
Oh,
thank you so much for being willing to join me here and just talk through it a little bit.
absolutely.
Why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your church and your ministry and what you do?
Okay. My name is Ashley Isaacs, and I'm the Children's Ministry Director at our church, Columbia United Methodist Church in West Columbia, Texas. And I've worked there about 2.5 years. I've taught Sunday school for about 5 years. I stumbled upon your email. My pastor actually forwarded it to me, and I checked it out, and I said, you know what? I think we can actually do this. So I tried it out, and I loved it. So that's where we are.
That's awesome. And the fact that are you Texan yourself, or did you
Yes.
relocate there? Okay. See, my daddy is full-blooded Texan. So I
Oh,
consider
really?
myself like half Texan. And
There
I'm
you
very,
go.
very proud of that fact. So,
Uh-huh.
all right. So tell me about a little bit with COVID and the pandemic and all of that. What kind of led you to the decision to go online with the kids' Bible lesson?
Well, we were really looking for something that we could meet the families where they were. So whether they were comfortable coming to church or staying at home, we needed something that kind of fit both molds. But I wanted something that I didn't need volunteers to teach Sunday school, and I didn't need a lot of like in small classroom settings. And this fit that for us because we have an older congregation. So we have lots of people willing to help, but I don't want our older generation, stuck with our younger kids, and I don't want them intermingling right now. I don't think
Yeah.
that. So this allowed us to, what we do is we play the video at 10:40, our 11 o'clock service. We're in the fellowship hall. So we have an 11 o'clock service. The families come in at 10:40 and we put our video up, and they sit together as a family. So the kids are with their parents. We don't have to have a volunteer teaching, and they watch the video together, and then they're already in place for their 11 o'clock service. So it eliminates rooms that we have to sanitize and clean up after everyone. You just stay in your place and watch your video and go on throughout the service. So
That's smart. That's
well.
smart. So this was, and I'll include a link to your video because I loved it. I watched
Oh,
it start to finish. I was like, this is great. And it looked great, and you did a good job, and the background worked, and the way that you edited together the whole video, I thought was fantastic. And you told me this was the first one you had put together. So I would love to hear just kind of that experience for you, what that was like and what you learned, and maybe some tips or tricks you could share as you put together your first one.
Okay, so I have 3 children that are homeschooled right now. So it's kind of, little breaks throughout the day running in and, filming your video, and to get yourself decent enough to present to people and your house decent enough to present to people, and to put everything together and have kids fed snacks, and to get everything in line to actually shoot a video. That's what's so great about this, is because it's broken down into little segments. So when you have 10 or 15 minutes, you sit down, record part of your video, and then you can come back to it if you need to. So it's not something where you're trying to memorize this big, long passage and, you have to be committed for 20 solid minutes. You can break it up. So my suggestions, get a backdrop. Mine was from Amazon. So I just tacked it on the wall in my dining room, and I set at my dining room table with my computer and a web camera. And I pushed the kids off of me for long enough to get my video done. And it goes quick, and it's been so easy, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it looked great. At first I thought maybe you did a green screen. I was like, how did she get that cool background in there? And I hadn't even thought of like the Amazon backdrop. So that was a really cool solution to that, because it does make it feel fun and like kids church. And so it was just a great job that you did with that.
Thank you.
So,
Another thing that
oh
I
yeah.
always do, I always wear my church shirt. So then I don't have to worry about what am I gonna, what am I gonna wear? So I'm always in my church shirt. So it's consistent. They're always gonna see Miss Ashley up there in her church shirt with her background, and it works for us.
Yeah. And I think that that's really important, right? Like we were
Mhm.
hoping when we put the ebook together, like you have some great resources that you can use, but the thing that matters the most to the kids is you, the volunteers or the leaders of the ministry. And so keeping those points of consistency, allowing them to see the same people, dressed the same way, talking the same way, I think is
Right.
spot on and such a great solution. Did you get any feedback from your kids or parents or volunteers?
Well, actually, our choir stays in our fellowship hall, and they're more interested in the video. So the adults have actually loved it more. I mean, the kids like it too, but the adults are they're standing up for the wiggle breaks, and they're trying to get people to dance along. And that's been a lot of fun to see. And also with the wiggle breaks, it's a great way to incorporate other families that maybe are at home or not at church yet. We can see people. We ask different members to submit a wiggle break video, and that kind of just ties us all together. And it's also a surprise who's going to be the wiggle break, guest for the week. So that's been fun.
I love it. And I think, it's super cool when you see the adults getting involved like that. I've noticed that at our fellowship as well, where this is so new for the kids and they're not quite sure what to do. And so when adults can kind of catch that vision and jump in, I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd count that as a huge win. Well done.
Absolutely.
On that.
Thank you.
Now you did it all. I know, like when we think about online lessons, sometimes people might go, this is going to cost us too much. But you did it on a pretty tight budget, and I was impressed with that. And so maybe you could just talk through the different tools that you use to build your lesson and, your home studio. I've got, some lights in here and all this fancy stuff. And I thought yours looked just about as good and you did it for a lot less. So I'd love to hear that a bit.
Okay. So my backdrop was a photography backdrop from Amazon, and I think it was $24. And my web camera was $45, $46. It's just a cheap, I have no idea with technical stuff. Like this is all really new to me.
It worked. So it shot a video.
My lighting, my fancy lighting is my grandma's piano lamp, the long piano lamps that you can turn. And so I just have it pointed at my face, and it's sitting on top of a stool that sits on top of my table. So it's just really thrown together, but you don't see any of that, and it works. So I think so 45 and 24. And then the program that I used to edit it was cheap. It's like $8 a month. So it's worth it.
Now, and that had been your first time in a video editing software, or had you had any experience before that?
Well, with that program, since April, I've been doing our children's time moments and, putting together that with that software, but you're talking 30-second, 1-minute videos. So not much editing, no chopping and piecing together or anything like that. So
I think that's always maybe a point of concern that I run into when I'm talking with people. It's like, I'm not a video editor. I don't know if I can do this. And so maybe if you could just speak to that, like, what is the learning curve like getting into a video editing software, and how long did it take you to feel comfortable? Like, okay, I get it. I bring in these clips, or I drag this sound in, or I do these, transitions.
With the one that I used, really within the first week, I was comfortable with it. There are lots of YouTube videos, with instructions on how to do it, but I didn't need those. I just went in there and played with it. And I'm telling you, like, I am not a computer girl. I don't know things like that. I live on a farm, so we live, like, our internet is really shoddy. So to upload a video takes a while, but it was easy. I just went in and by myself figured it out within a week. I was comfortable doing all that. So,
I can smell like a good YouTube channel here, a farm girl's guide to online ministry, right? I mean, that's kind of ring to
there
it.
You go.
Well, that's fantastic. And when I saw your finished video, I thought, man, you really did a great job. And so I did want to talk to you about how you did it and what some of your process was, but also as a leader in a kids ministry, I don't know if you have any words of encouragement to other kids ministries out there that are just kind of looking at this and going, this is really hard and we've never done anything like this and we're not sure what to do. And I love that you were creative and showed some, ingenuity, and just, any thoughts or things you might want to share on that front.
Well, by nature, I'm a very quiet and to myself type person. So I really had to rely on God to get me the spirit to, have the energy to act silly and do these kinds of things. And I think whenever we take the focus off ourselves and focus on the job that needs to be done, then God gives us the power to do it. And He's there with us every step of the way. And I think that, it's challenging and we have a lot of things that we haven't done before, but it's okay to get outside of your comfort zone and to, just really push the limits a little bit of what you're willing to do.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I also thought one of the things that you did really well for your first video is, if memory serves me, it was around like 13 to 15 minutes, somewhere in that range. And sometimes right out of the gates, people will try to put together a, 35-minute magnum opus. Right. And you're like, okay, if you're going to really shoot for the stars your first time, that's challenging. But you kept it lean and tight. And I thought that was great. Are you kind of going to stick in that shorter time frame, or are you looking to add anything?
Well, right now I have 20 minutes from the time that the choir stops practicing until our 11 o'clock service starts. So I have to get everything in within that 20 minutes. Usually about 15 minutes is max because, they want time to get the organ going and playing, or the piano going and playing. So I try to keep it short. And for right now, it works for us. So
fantastic. Now, I wrote a lot in that ebook. I think there's like 20 pages, and I'm curious, did you read it all, or did you just kind of go like, I went right to the video making part and that was good for me?
No, well, no.
And you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm getting to talk to you, so I'm curious.
Read it. Okay. So at first I just skimmed through it, and then I watched your video and I said, hey, I think this is really something I could do. So then I went back and, skimmed through it again. So no, I didn't read it cover to cover, but I think I got most
That's
of it.
Okay. That's okay. For those who might be thinking like, hey, I'll check this ebook out. What were the parts of it that you found most helpful? If there's any other skimmers where you're like, hey, you don't got to read the whole thing, I would just focus on these parts.
Well, I did print out the template, and I have that with me whenever I shoot the video. So I try to go along, and so that keeps me organized in what order to do things. That's really the main part that I really used.
That was my favorite part too. So there's a lot of extra fluff in there, but I think you're spot on.
I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but that's the part that really helps.
Well, if it's about making an online video, it better have something about like, hey, here's how you make the online video. Well, that is just awesome to hear. And I'm glad that you're able to kind of start something that you feel like you can keep going. What are your thoughts on after the pandemic? Like, let's say we start getting back to normal. Do you still see your kids ministry using like online videos at all, or do you plan on just kind of transitioning all back to in-person service?
I think for the foreseeable future, we'll be doing online, even if we are back to 100% in the church. It still reaches so many people. We have people from all over the country, relatives of whoever shares it on our Facebook page. And so you're reaching a whole different audience that you wouldn't normally reach. So I think it's great to continue that.
Right on. Yeah, I agree. It is always kind of cool when you put those things out on YouTube or Facebook and you're like, oh, I didn't know that, little Billy's, great grandfather and wherever is watching. And so that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for just taking the time to talk through this. And Again, I'm incredibly proud of what you put together, and I'll link to it in the blog article we'll make around this, and I'll also link to all the things you use, because I think it's great for people to understand you can do something like this on a budget and it can look really great. And I think you're a fantastic example of that.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, again, this is Ashley Isaacs. And what was your church again, if people want to explore that or check that out?
It's Columbia United Methodist Church in West Columbia, Texas.
Fantastic. Well, very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy day. And I don't know where the kids are, if they're like quarantined off in rooms, like mommy's in an interview.
They have strict instructions. Sit down. I think I saw one of them walk by though.
That's so great. All right. Well, fantastic. Great meeting you. And who knows, maybe we'll do a recap here in a year and you can let me know like how it's going.
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right.